When it comes to continental football, there's no other tournament that captures the world's attention quite like the Euros. Ever since the inaugural tournament back in 1960, we have seen some of Europe's best teams win the coveted Henri Delaunay Trophy while also witnessing some of the most incredible underdog achievements of all time. With the one-year anniversary of Euro 2024 in the rearview mirror, there have been plenty of moments from Europe's top footballing competition that have been etched into the memories of football fans around the world. Today, we're taking a look at each of the 17 winners of this famous tournament to see which nations have truly cemented their legacy in European football and which sides only live on in our collective memory. Becoming a champion of Europe is a truly special achievement, so let's go ahead and rank them all. Starting in the F tier, the two entries at the bottom of the list are the Soviet Union, winners of Euro 1960, and Italy, winners of Euro 1968. When the inaugural European Nations Cup took place in 1960, the tournament had a very different format to what we see today. The qualifying rounds were played as a double-leg fixture with one home game and one away game, followed by a single-leg semi-final and a final match for the trophy. The Soviet Union were one of the strongest footballing nations in Europe at the time, and they began their road to the final against Hungary in the round of 16. With a dominant 3-1 victory in Moscow and a nail-biting 1-0 victory in Budapest, the USSR advanced to the quarterfinals with a 4-1 aggregate victory. As they were about to face Spain, the Spanish side withdrew from the tournament due to political reasons, and the Soviets continued their run thanks to a walkover victory. The Soviet Union made the trip to France, who were the host nation for Euro 1960, and went on to face Czechoslovakia in the semi-finals. With goals from Valentin Ivanov and Viktor Pondelnik, the USSR grabbed a comfortable 3-0 victory in front of 25,000 spectators in Marseille. The final match of Euro 1960 was held at the Parc des Princes in Paris, France, with the Soviet Union taking on Yugoslavia, who had just beat the host nation by 5-4 in the semi-finals. The first half was a cagey affair between the two nations, and with a goal from Milan Gajic in the 43rd minute, the Soviets went into halftime down by 1-0. The second half would go much smoother for them, and with a goal from Slava Mitrovelli in the 49th minute and some key saves from Lev Yashin, the match was headed to extra time at 1-1. One more goal from Ponedelnik in the 113th minute would secure the victory for the Soviets, and with the full-time whistle arriving, the match ended as a 2-1 win for the USSR after extra time. Euro 1960 would be the only major tournament that the Soviets would go on to win, but due to the format of the tournament and the Spanish walkover in the quarterfinals, this entry can only crack the F tier today. Moving on to Euro 1968, the third edition of this tournament was held in Italy, but the Italians were still forced to go through the qualifying process. After being drawn into Group 6 alongside Romania, Switzerland, and Cyprus, they went on to grab 5 wins and 1 draw, scoring 17 goals while conceding just 3 as they went on to top the group. Their quarter-final draw saw them take on Bulgaria, and things didn't start off smoothly for the Azzurri. The first leg in Sofia ended as a 3-2 victory for the Bulgarians, but with a resilient 2-0 victory in the return fixture in Naples, Italy advanced after coming away with a 4-3 aggregate victory. Italy went on to face the Soviet Union in the semi-finals, and after a scoreless 120 minutes from both sides, the first ever coin toss in Euro history occurred. With luck being on the Italian side, they went on to advance to the final. The final match of Euro 1968 was held at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome, Italy, with the host nation taking on Yugoslavia. The first goal of the game came from Dragan Djajic in the 39th minute, but with Angelo Domenghini's equalizer in the 80th minute, the match ended as a 1-1 draw even after extra time was played. Since penalties were not the way that matches were decided back then, a replay game was played out 2 days later. The Italians were much more dominant this time around, and with goals from Gigi Riva and Pietro Anastasi, Italy went on to win the match by 2-0. While Italy's first continental victory was a milestone for the nation, their coin toss win against the Soviet Union and their replay victory over Yugoslavia demotes them to the bottom of this ranking. These two sides suffer from the format of the earlier European Championships rather than their footballing abilities, but since somebody has to be at the bottom of this list, they have to settle for the F tier today. Moving on to the D tier, the next two sides are Spain, the winners of Euro 1964, and West Germany, the winners of Euro 1980. Euro 1964 was hosted in Spain, but before the host nation could play all their games at home, they had to face Romania, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland in the qualifying rounds. With a 7-3 aggregate win over the Romanians, an incredibly close 2-1 aggregate victory over Northern Ireland, and a casual 7-1 aggregate victory over the Republic of Ireland, Spain made light work of their qualifying opponents. With the host nation returning back to Spain, their opponents in the semi-finals came in the form of Hungary. The Spanish side opened the scoring in the 35th minute with a goal from Pereda, but Bene's equalizer in the 84th minute for the Hungarians would force the game to go to extra time. It would be Amancio's goal in the 112th minute that would give Spain the victory on their way to their first ever European final. The final match of Euro 1964 took place at the Santiago Bernabeu in Madrid, with 70,000 spectators in attendance to see Spain take on the Soviet Union Union, who were the reigning champions at the time. The match got off to a fiery start, with Pereda opening the scoring in the 6th minute for Spain, only for the Soviet Union to equalize 2 minutes later with a goal from Husainov. The match was stuck in a deadlock for the next 70 minutes thanks to some incredible saves from Lev Yashin, one of the greatest goalkeepers of his time. The Spanish attack would eventually break through the Soviet defense, and with Marcelino's goal in the 84th minute, Spain went on to win the match by 2-1, securing their first ever European trophy. This Spanish side were truly dominant given the era they played in, and this victory planted the seed for the European dominance that would occur 44 years later. Moving on to Euro 1980, the European Championship returned to Italy, but it would be the West Germans who would come out on top this time around. The 6th edition of the European Championship was the first to feature 8 teams, but there would be no semi-finals this time around. With 2 groups of 4 teams, the group winners advanced directly to the final, with the runners-up battling it out for 3rd place. The West Germans had no issues in their qualifying group, coming away with 4 wins and 2 draws against Turkey, Wales, and Malta, scoring 17 goals and conceding just 1 along the way. They were then drawn into Group 1 against Czechoslovakia, the Netherlands, and Greece, and things were much tougher this time around. With a gripping 1-0 win over Czechoslovakia, a thrilling 3-2 win over the Netherlands, and a surprising 0-0 draw against Greece, West Germany went on to top their group, which gave them a direct ticket to the final. The final match of Euro 1980 took place at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome, Italy, and it saw West Germany take on Belgium in a thrilling encounter. The opening goal came in the 10th minute, and with Horst Hrubesch's strike finding the back of the net, the match went into halftime at 1-0. The Belgian side refused to give up, and with a penalty goal from Van der Eycken in the 75th minute, the match was now level at 1-1. With the game seemingly headed to extra time, Hrubesch went on to grab his brace in the 88th minute, and with no time left on the clock, the West Germans held on for a 2-1 victory. West Germany went on to win their 2nd European Championship, but with a relatively unappealing tournament format, this victory isn't talked about nearly enough. These 2 sides were dominant on their way to their respective victories, but compared to some of the other sides on this list, they have to settle for the D tier today. Moving on to the C tier, the next 2 entries are Germany, winners of Euro 1996, and Portugal, winners of Euro 2016. The 1996 European Championship was hosted in England, and there were a few significant changes for this tournament. The format expanded to 16 teams with 4 groups of 4, 3 points were awarded for a win, and the golden goal rule in extra time was used for the first time. Germany were drawn into Group C alongside the Czech Republic, Italy, and Russia, and had a relatively easy time against these 3 opponents. With a solid 2-0 win over the Czech Republic, a dominant 3-0 victory over Russia, and a rather lackluster 0-0 draw against Italy, the Germans topped Group C without conceding a single goal. Their next opponent came in the form of Croatia, who were making their European Championship debut at the 1996 tournament. With a penalty goal from Klinsmann in the first half, followed by a goal from Schuker in the 51st minute and the eventual winner from Sommer in the 59th minute, the Germans came away with a surprisingly narrow 2-1 victory in this match. Their semi-final tie would see them go up against England, and this match was without a doubt one of the best games of the entire tournament. With Alan Shearer opening the scoring in the 3rd minute, the Germans found an equalizer from Stefan Kuntz in the 16th minute, and this 1-1 deadlock would last until the final whistle. Even with some solid chances from the home side to grab the win in extra time, the match ended with no winner after 120 minutes, and the game was forced to go to penalties. The Germans were perfect from the penalty spot, but with Gareth Southgate's miss on the last shot of the match, the game ended as a thrilling 6-5 penalty victory for the Germans. The final match of Euro 1996 was played at Wembley Stadium, with Germany and the Czech Republic facing off in a rematch of their matchday 1 encounter. The match got off to a cautious start, with both teams trying their best to avoid any early mistakes, which forced the match to go into halftime stuck at 0-0. The Czech Republic went on to open the scoring with a penalty goal from Patrick Berger in the 59th minute, but Oliver Bierhoff's goal in the 73rd minute would force the match to go to extra time. It took only 5 minutes in the extra frame for Germany to make history, and with Bierhoff's golden goal in the 95th minute, the Germans went on to claim a thrilling 2-1 victory, earning them their 3rd European Championship. It was a solid performance from Germany throughout the entire tournament, and their 1996 victory remains their most recent win at the Euros. Moving on to another edition of the tournament that saw some drastic changes, Portugal's victory at Euro 2016 was anything but expected. The 15th edition of the European Championship saw the tournament increase to 24 teams across 6 groups, with the 4 best 3rd place teams earning a spot in the knockout rounds. Portugal were drawn into Group F alongside Iceland, Austria, and Hungary, and their group stage performances were anything but ideal. With a shocking 1-1 draw versus Euro debutants Iceland, a disappointing 0-0 draw versus Austria, and a ridiculous 3-3 draw versus Hungary, Portugal ended up with just 3 points from their first 3 matches. Their group stage attitude was still showing in the knockout rounds, and thanks to a goal from Quaresma in the 117th minute, Portugal went on to grab their first victory of the tournament as they advanced to the quarterfinals. Their match against Poland in the quarterfinals got off to a shaky start after Lewandowski's goal in the 2nd minute, but with a goal from Renato Sanchez in the 33rd minute, the match eventually led to a penalty shootout. With Portugal's perfect record from the spot kick, they came away with a thrilling 5-3 victory on penalties, and this is where their momentum truly began to take shape. Their semi-final tie saw them go up against Wales, who are having a Cinderella story run in this tournament, and the first half of that match ended stuck at 0-0 for both sides. sides. But with two quick goals from Ronaldo and Nani in the 50th and 53rd minute, Portugal went on to grab their first victory in regular time, and they were now in their first Euro final since 2004. The final match of Euro 2016 took place at the Stade de France in Saint-Denis, and Portugal were the unanimous underdogs as they went up against the host nation France. Things went from bad to worse for both the Portuguese side and their fans, with their captain Cristiano Ronaldo going off injured in the 25th minute. Despite the initial setback, Portugal did their best to stay in this match, and after causing the French side much discomfort, the match ended 0-0 after 90 minutes. This match was waiting for someone to step up and be the hero, and in the 109th minute, Eder's long-range strike found the back of the net, giving Portugal a 1-0 lead that would last until the final whistle. While the final game was a rollercoaster of emotions for the Portuguese players and fans, the rest of the tournament demonstrated the strength and resilience of this talented side. These two champions made their nations proud in their respective runs, and they go into the C tier today. Moving on to the B tier, the first three entries are West Germany, the winners of Euro 1972, Czechoslovakia, the winners of Euro 1976, and France, the winners of Euro 1984. West Germany's performance at Euro 1972 was one of the most dominant displays of football on the European stage that we have ever seen, as they went undefeated throughout their run to the championship. West Germany's qualifying performances saw them face Poland, Turkey, and Albania, and with 4 wins, 2 draws, and a +8 goal differential, they went on to face England in the quarterfinals. The first leg match was played in London and saw West Germany come away with a dominant 3-1 victory, followed by a 0-0 draw that was played out in West Berlin, leading to a 3-1 aggregate victory for the West Germans. With their ticket to Euro 1972 booked, the West Germans went on to face the host nation Belgium in the semi-finals. With a brace from Gerd Muller in the 24th and 71st minute, followed by a consolation goal for the Belgians in the 83rd minute, the West Germans earned their spot in the final after an entertaining 2-1 victory. The final match of Euro 1972 took place at Heysel Stadium, with the West Germans taking on the Soviet Union in what was set to be a thrilling final. This game was an offensive masterclass from the West Germans, and despite the initial Soviet resistance, 2 goals from Muller and another goal from Wimmer would lead to a 3-0 victory for the West Germans. With that thrilling victory, West Germany went on to capture their first European title in their history, and their dominance in this competition will never be forgotten about. Moving on to the next tournament that took place 4 years later, Euro 1976 was won by an unexpected side in Czechoslovakia, and their run to the final was truly legendary. The 5th edition of the European Championship was the last tournament to feature 4 teams before the expansion to 8 teams in 1980. Czechoslovakia were drawn into a tough qualifying group against England, Portugal, and Cyprus, but with 4 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss, they went on to top their group with 9 points and a +10 goal differential. With a victory in their qualifying group, the Czechoslovakian side set up a quarterfinal encounter with the Soviet Union. With a 2-0 win in Bratislava in the first leg, followed by a thrilling 2-2 draw in Kyiv in the second leg, Czechoslovakia qualified for the final part of Euro 1976, which was held in Yugoslavia. Czechoslovakia went on to face the Netherlands in the semi-finals, and this game saw some extremely tense football being played out on both sides, with both nations receiving red cards throughout the match. With the match stuck in a 1-1 deadlock and going into extra time, 2 goals from Nehoda and Vesely in the 114th and 118th minute would give Czechoslovakia a 3-1 victory, earning them a spot in the final. The final match of Euro 1976 took place at the Red Star Stadium in Belgrade, and 30,000 spectators showed up to see Czechoslovakia take on the reigning champions West Germany. The match got off to a fiery start, and with 2 goals from Jvelik and Dobiash in the 8th and 25th minute, followed by a goal from Muller in the 28th minute, the match went into halftime at 2-1 for Czechoslovakia. The game was just seconds away from ending in a crazy upset, but with one last goal from Holzenbein for West Germany, the match ended with a 2-2 scoreline, which held until the 120th minute. The match was headed to a penalty shootout for the first time in international footballing history, and what came next is something that no football fan has ever forgotten about. With Antonin Panenka's chip shot down the middle of the net to win the game, Czechoslovakia went on to grab a historic 5-3 victory on penalties, claiming their first and only European championship. With a resilient group of players and an iconic run to the final that culminated in footballing history, the 1976 Czechoslovakia side was truly something else. Moving on to the 7th European Championship, Euro 1984 was hosted in France, which meant that they skipped out on the qualifying phase altogether. France were drawn into a group containing Denmark, Belgium, and Yugoslavia, and they did not take their foot off the gas for 1 second. They came away with a narrow 1-0 victory over Denmark, followed by a commanding 5-0 win over Belgium and a back-and-forth 3-2 victory over Yugoslavia. With 3 wins from 3 matches alongside 9 goals scored, 2 goals conceded, and a +7 goal differential and 6 points on the board, France were truly thriving after the group stage as they went on to face Portugal in the semi-finals. The semi-final tie between France and Portugal is one of the best matches in Euro history, with 5 goals, plenty of momentum changes, and a last-minute winner culminating in the ultimate semi-final tie. With goals from Domergue and Jordão in the 24th and 74th minute, the match was headed to extra time, stuck at 1-1. Jordão went on to score again in the 98th minute, giving Portugal the lead, but Domergue went on to grab a brace of his own in the 114th minute. With the match approaching its conclusion, Michel Platini went on to score in the 119th 9th minute, giving France a 3-2 win and securing them a spot in their first major final in the nation's history. The final match of Euro 1984 took place at the Parc des Princes in Paris, with the host nation taking on Spain in a truly enticing encounter. The first half of this match would see no goals for either side, with Spain's defense doing its job in stopping the French offensive. The deadlock broke in the 57th minute with Platini's 9th goal of the tournament, and with one last goal from Delaunay in stoppage time, France held on for a 2-0 victory. This victory saw France go on and win their first major international trophy, and even without the need to qualify for this tournament, their dominance was noticeable from the very first kick of a ball. The final two entries in the B tier are the Netherlands, winners of Euro 1988, and France, winners of Euro 2000. After their defeats at the 1974 and 1978 FIFA World Cup finals, Euro 1988 was the ultimate redemption story for the Netherlands. The final part of Euro 1988 was held in West Germany, but before that, the Netherlands faced Greece, Hungary, Poland, and Cyprus in their qualifying round. They went undefeated, winning 6 games and drawing 2, scoring 15 goals and conceding just once as they managed to put 14 points on the board. They were then drawn into Group 2 at Euro 1988 alongside the Soviet Union, the Republic of Ireland, and England. With a disappointing 1-0 loss to the Soviet Union, a dominant 3-1 win over England, and a cagey 1-0 win over the Republic of Ireland, the Netherlands finished second in their group with 4 points and a +2 goal differential. The knockout rounds is where the Dutch side began generating momentum, starting with the semi-final tie against the host nation, West Germany. The first half of this match was extremely tight between two sides who refused to concede the opening goal, as the match went into halftime at 0-0. However, a penalty goal from Lothar Matthäus in the 55th minute would see the Netherlands go down by 1-0. With some incredible resilience and determination, Ronald Koeman went on to score a penalty goal in the 74th minute, with Marco van Basten scoring the winner in the 88th minute, giving the Netherlands an incredible 2-1 victory over the host nation. The final match at Euro 1988 was played at the Olympiastadion in Munich, with the Soviet Union taking on the Netherlands in a highly anticipated match. This was a rematch of the first game that these two sides had played to start the tournament, but things would be much different this time around. The Dutch side began the game with confidence and determination, and with Ruud Gullit's goal in the 32nd minute, the match went into halftime at 1-0. The Dutch side went on to score again after Van Basten's incredible effort in the 54th minute found the back of the net, and with the Soviets missing a penalty kick, the match ended as a 2-0 victory for the Netherlands. They had finally gotten their hands on some silverware, and it was well and truly deserved. Moving on to the final entry in the B tier, France's victory at Euro 2000 was truly historic, as they became the first nation in history to win the World Cup and the European Championship consecutively. The French side were drawn into Group D against the Netherlands, the Czech Republic, and Denmark, and they got off to an impressive start. With a 3-0 win over Denmark, a 2-1 victory over the Czech Republic, and a narrow 3-2 loss to the Netherlands, France finished in second place with a +3 goal differential and 6 points on the board. They went on to face Spain in the quarterfinals, and with goals from Zidane, Mendieta, and Djorkaeff all before halftime, the match ended as a 2-1 victory for France. Their next match was the semi-final against Portugal, and what is remembered as one of the most controversial decisions in Euro history. The match started off well for Portugal, with Nuno Gomes scoring in the 19th minute to give Portugal a 1-0 lead at halftime. Thierry Henry would find the equalizing goal in the 51st minute, and the match remained 1-1 as the two sides went into extra time. In the 117th minute, France were awarded a penalty after the referee claimed that Abel Xavier of Portugal had played the ball with his arm. With Zidane's penalty finding the back of the net and the golden goal rule in effect, the match ended as a 2-1 victory for France as they went on to secure their ticket to the final. The final match of Euro 2000 was held at the Kuip in Rotterdam, and it featured France and Italy going head-to-head for all the glory. The first half didn't produce much in terms of chances, but the game's opening goal came in the 55th minute after Marco Del Vecchio found the back of the net. Italy were just seconds away from winning, but with Sylvain Wiltord's goal in the dying embers of stoppage time, the match went into extra time with a golden goal rule in full effect. David Trezeguet would make the most of that rule, and in the 103rd minute, his effort would find the back of the net, giving France a 2-1 victory in this match as they went on to secure their second European Championship. France's journey at Euro 2000 was a roller coaster ride of emotions, and it ended with the nation's best players lifting the most coveted trophy in European football. These 5 sides played some incredible football on the way to the top step of the podium, so they go into the B tier today. Moving on to the A tier, the first 2 entries are Denmark, the winners of Euro 1992, and Spain, winners of Euro 2008. Denmark's run at Euro 1992 is one of the best underdog stories we have ever seen, given the fact that they shouldn't have even been there in the first place. With Yugoslavia being banned from Euro 1992, Denmark were invited to join as runners-up of their qualifying group, meaning that they had less than 10 days to prepare their side for Europe's biggest competition. Nevertheless, they were drawn into Group 1 alongside the host nations Sweden, France, and England. With a 0-0 draw versus England, a narrow 1-0 loss to Sweden, and a shocking 2-1 victory over France, Denmark finished second in their group with 3 points, which was enough to advance to the knockout stage. They went on to face the Netherlands in the semi-finals, and with a brace from Larsen and 2 goals from Bergkamp and Rijkaard, the match ended as a 2-2 draw after 120 minutes. With Denmark converting all 5 of their spot kicks and with Marco van Basten missing for the Netherlands, the match which ended as a 5-4 penalty victory for Denmark, earning them a spot in the final. The final match of Euro 1992 was played at Ullevi in Gothenburg with a David versus Goliath matchup that saw Denmark go up against Germany, the reigning world champions at the time. Denmark were playing as if they had nothing to lose, and in the 18th minute, Jensen's goal would give the Danes an unthinkable 1-0 lead that would last until the halftime whistle. Germany threw everything they had at Denmark in the second half, but with Vilfort's goal in the 78th minute, the Danes came away with a wild 2-0 victory over Germany, earning them their first European championship. This victory is still to this day one of the most unexpected achievements in Euro history and a true source of pride for the country of Denmark. Moving on to the 13th European Championship, Spain's performance at Euro 2008 laid the foundation for one of the most dominant eras in the history of the sport. They were drawn into Group D alongside Russia, Sweden, and reigning champions Greece, and they cruised their way through their opening 3 matches in style. With a dominant 4-1 victory over Russia, a narrow 2-1 win over Sweden, and another closely contested 2-1 victory over Greece, Spain came away with 9 points from their opening 3 matches. Their quarterfinal tie against Italy was a very close contest, but they managed to get past the reigning world champions after a nail-biting 4-2 victory on penalties. Their semi-final tie against Russia was a rematch of the first game they played in the competition, and just like the first time around, they dominated the match from start to finish, coming away with a dominant 3-0 victory. The final match of Euro 2008 was played at the Ernst-Happel-Stadion in Vienna, with Germany and Spain facing off in a winner-takes-all match that had huge ramifications for both nations. The opening goal came in the 33rd minute after a well-timed effort from Fernando Torres, and that 1-0 scoreline would last until the final whistle as Spain went on to win their second European championship. Spain were in total control in every match they played, and this victory was the catalyst for what was still to come. Continuing on in the A tier, the final 2 entries are Italy, winners of Euro 2020, and Spain, winners of Euro 2024. After failing to qualify for the 2018 FIFA World Cup, Italy went on a redemption mission at Euro 2020. They were drawn into Group A alongside Wales, Switzerland, and Turkey, and ended up playing all 3 of those games at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome. With a dominant 3-0 win over Turkey, a convincing 3-0 victory over Switzerland, and a casual 1-0 win over Wales, Italy topped their group with a +7 goal differential and with 9 points on the board. They continued their momentum in the knockout rounds, beating Austria by a 2-1 scoreline after extra time in the round of 16, followed by another 2-1 win over Belgium in the quarterfinals. They went on to face Spain in the semi-finals, and with goals from Chiesa in the 60th minute and Morata in the 80th minute, the match went to a penalty shootout after 120 minutes. With Locatelli's first attempt missing the target and Morata's final shot missing as well, Italy held on to grab a thrilling 4-2 victory on penalties. The final match at Euro 2020 was played at Wembley Stadium, and it saw Italy go up against England in a game that truly could have gone either way. With Luke Shaw opening the scoring in the 2nd minute in unexpected fashion, Italy found themselves down by a goal as they went into the halftime break. With plenty of energy and momentum after the break, Italy went on to find their equalizing goal from Bonucci in the 67th minute, and the 1-1 deadlock would last until the 120th minute. The penalty shootout was one of the most tense in Euro history, but with England missing their final 3 spot kicks, Italy went on to win the shootout by 3-2, securing their 2nd European title. It was a true display of footballing brilliance from start to finish, and a victory that the Italian team and people desperately needed. The next and final entry in the A tier is the most recent edition of the European Championship, with Spain's most recent victory at Euro 2024. Spain were drawn into Group B alongside Italy, Croatia, and Albania, and they showed the world just how good they were in those 3 matches. With a dominant 3-0 victory over Croatia, a narrow 1-0 win over Italy, and a casual 1-0 win over Albania, Spain topped Group B with 9 points, scoring 5 goals and keeping 3 clean sheets. Their round of 16 matchup saw them face debutants Georgia, and despite conceding an early own goal, they went on to score 4 straight goals of their own, coming away with a dominant 4-1 victory. Their quarterfinal tie against host nation Germany is where they truly shined in what most people consider the best match at this tournament. With Dani Olmo's goal in the 51st minute, Spain were just seconds away from winning the match until Florian Wirtz scored in the 89th minute and forced the game to go to extra time. The additional frame was about as tense as you can get in football, and with Mikel Merino's goal in the 119th minute, Spain went on to grab a historic 2-1 victory. They repeated that feat in the semi-finals against France, and with 2 goals from Lamine Yamal and Dani Olmo after Kolo Muani's opener, they went on to secure yet another 2-1 victory and a spot in the final. The final match at Euro 2024 was played at the Olympiastadion in Berlin, with Spain taking on England, the runners-up from Euro 2020. The first half was a deadlock between both sides as they tried their best to open one another up, and the match went into halftime stuck at 0-0. It took just 2 minutes into the second half for Nico Williams to score the opening goal, but with a beautiful strike from Cole Palmer in the 73rd minute, the match was now level at 1-1. With just minutes to go until extra time, it would be Oyarzábal's effort that would find the back of the net in the 86th minute, giving Spain a triumphant 2-1 victory over England and the record-extending 4th European title. This victory was an announcement to the world that Spanish football was well and truly back, and they dominated the competition from the get-go. These 4 sides wrote their names in European footballing folklore with their respective victories as they go into the A tier today. And finally, we make it to the S tier, where the final 2 entries are Greece, Greece, winners of Euro 2004, and Spain, winners of Euro 2012. Greece's triumph at Euro 2004 is without a doubt the greatest upset in the history of the European Championship and one of the greatest underdog stories in all of sports. Greece came into the tournament as outsiders, having only ever qualified for Euro 1980 while also having never won a game at a major tournament. Greece were drawn into Group A alongside host nation Portugal, Spain, and Russia. They went on to grab a historic 2-1 victory against Portugal, followed by a tight 1-1 draw with Spain and a disappointing 2-1 loss to Russia. With 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss from their first 3 games, Greece managed to grab 4 points, finishing second in the group ahead of Spain on goals scored. Their momentum carried on into the knockout rounds where they beat the reigning Euro champions France by 1-0 in the quarterfinals, followed by a nail-biting 1-0 silver goal victory over the Czech Republic in the semifinals. The final match at Euro 2004 took place at the Estadio da Luz in Lisbon, where they went on to face Portugal once again in a match that no one could have predicted. Portugal dominated possession early on and tried their best to break down the Greek line, but with some resilient defending, the match ran into halftime stuck at 0-0. The opening goal came in the 57th minute, and with a towering header from Angelos Charisteas from a beautifully executed corner kick, the score was now 1-0 for Greece, with the entire world cheering them on. Portugal were unable to find the equalizing goal in the next 30 minutes, and with the referee's final whistle, Greece went on to win their first ever European Championship. From entering the competition with no wins at the major level to winning the entire tournament, Greece's run at Euro 2004 will never be forgotten about. And finally, we make it to the last entry in this list, which sees Spain's iconic run at Euro 2012 at the top of this ranking. Spain were drawn into Group C alongside Italy, Croatia, and the Republic of Ireland, and they made their presence known right from the start. With a thrilling 1-1 draw against Italy, a dominant 4-0 win over the Republic of Ireland, and a narrow 1-0 win over Croatia, Spain topped their group with 7 points and a +5 goal differential. Their momentum carried on to the knockout rounds where they came away with a dominant 2-0 win over France in the quarterfinals, followed by a thrilling 4-2 penalty victory over rivals Portugal in the semifinals. The final match at Euro 2012 saw Spain take on Italy at the Olympic Stadium in Kyiv, and no one could have predicted the final scoreline at the start of this match. With goals from Silva, Alba, Torres, and Mata, Spain went on to dominate this match in every way possible, culminating in a 4-0 victory against Italy as they secured their 3rd European title. This Spanish side capitalized on every chance that came their way, and by becoming the first nation to successfully defend their Euro title, they wrote their names in the history books with this win. These two sides will never be forgotten about when it comes to the European Championship as they go into the S tier today. So there you have it, we've ranked all 17 sides who have gone on to win the Euros. With the inaugural victory coming back in 1960 to the most recent victory in 2024, this competition has produced some of the most priceless memories for footballing fans across the world. Every tournament has brought something different to the table, but the essence of what makes the European Championship so special has always been there. This tournament has gone through so many different format changes, but it is still one of the best footballing competitions that you'll find anywhere in the world. The Euros are always a good time when they come around, and these 17 winners are the perfect example of what makes this competition so great. But what did you think of my Euro winners tier list? Do you agree with it, disagree with it, and are there any entries that you would move higher or lower? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more football content, tier lists, and everything in between, and as always, I'll catch you next time.